Okay, so start na tayo. Allow me to record.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So this is our last week, no, for week number 7, regression analysis. Somehow, medyo related, mga anak, yung regression sa correlation. Kaya lang, iba yung mini-measure ni regression. So later, maintindihan natin siya. So, for week number 7, no, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define kung ano ba yung regression analysis. No? This is a new concept also with you. And ano yung mga tinatawag nating independent and dependent variable. Yan. Yan yung mga key concepts na pag-uusapan natin. So when we say regression analysis, no, our keyword is the word predict. No? Pag gusto mong i-predict yung epekto ng dependent variable, ng independent variable sa may dependent variable, no, ang gagamitin mong statistics ay yung regression analysis. So the regression analysis can only be performed if there is a significant relationship between two variables. So actually hindi na natin ginawa to, pero meron din siyang hypothesis testing for Pearson R. No? Hindi na natin siya ginawa, dumiretso tayo dun sa regression analysis. So pag naging, di ba meron tayong tinatawag na significant difference. Pero kapag yung relationship niya, pwede mo ding i-test kung significant ba siya o hindi. No? Pwedeng sabihin mo, yung null hypothesis mo, there is no significant difference. Yun yung H sub 0 mo. I mean, significant relationship. No? Pero sa may alternative mo nun, there is a significant relationship. So kapag lumitaw sa study mo na may significant relationship na nag-e-exist dun sa dalawang variable, pwede ka na ngayon mag-regression. Okay? So magpo-proceed ka dun sa regression analysis. So let's differentiate first what is an independent and dependent variable. So pag sinabi nating dependent, no, ito yung ating predictor variable. It is the variable that can stand alone, no? Siya yung x value natin. Ibig sabihin, siya yung nagdi-dictate, no? Siya yung nagpi-predict, no, nung result. At yung magiging result mo, tinatawag natin siyang dependent variable na y. So the dependent variable y depends on the other variable, which is the independent variable. So how do we identify the dependent and the independent variable? Halimbawa, y depends upon x, no? Basta nandyan si independent variable, meron siyang effect dun sa dependent variable. Ganun siya. Try the variables in the statement, price of meat and price of gas. Alin sa tingin nyo dyan yung x at alin sa tingin nyo dyan yung y? Which is the dependent and which is the independent? Yes, Clyde.
Yung independent po, sir, is yung price of gas. Tapos yung dependent po is yung price of meat po.
Very good. No? So yun yung, obviously, the price of meat depends upon the price of ganun siya. Yeah. So tapos na tayo. Magbigay pa nga kayo ng sample ninyo ng ng dependent and independent? You're actually, sige. Sino yun? Anyone who would like to give me an example of dependent and independent variable? For example, the ice cream sales is dependent on the temperature, di ba? So kasi yung ano natin doon, independent variable natin doon is yung temperature, no? At yung ating dependent ay yung ice cream sales. Hanabella.
Yung number of days po na absent ka, tapos po yung grades po. Yung independent po doon is yung number of days na absent, and then yung dependent po is yung grades po.
Exactly. So we can say that the number of absences is a predictor of your academic performance. No? Yes, Charles.
Yung pong number ng teachers and yung number po ng students or enrollees.
Ano yun? Sorry? Yung number ng?
Yung pong number ng teachers and yung number po ng students or enrollees.
Okay. Tama. Nelson J, do you have another one? Another example?
Try lang po. Yung lakas po ng bagyo tsaka po yung amount po ng rice po na na-harvest.
Okay. So the damage that it will cause, no? Very good. Serenity.
Yung independent variable po is yung force applied to an object. Tapos po yung dependent variable is yung acceleration po ng object.
The design is very physics, no? Very good. So maraming mga pwedeng i-relate, no, na predictor variable tsaka outcome variable, no? So the next concept that you need to understand is the definition of a regression line. So you should be able to compute yung slope at saka y-intercept ng regression line. Actually, ito rin yung trend line na dinodrawing natin, no? Yung ginawa ninyo dun sa PETA natin. Pero alam nyo ba na yung line na yun ay may equation, no? At pag ginawa natin yung equation niya, tinatawag natin siyang regression line, no? At doon manggagaling yung ating regression analysis. So balikan natin itong problem natin, no? So we construct the scatter plot diagram of the given bivariate data. So yan. Yan yung itsura niya. 'Di ba? Ang naging result dyan, there is a very high positive correlation between age and weight, no? As age increases, our weight also increases. In the same way, as age decreases, the weight of a child also decreases. So you see that line, that is the trend line, no? But when we determine its exact equation, we will refer to it as the regression line, no? Pag equation na siya. So fact, the trend line can be graphed accurately by using the regression line equation. So meron tayo palang di ba, yung sa last activity natin regarding the fat content and the sodium content sa PETA number 5, hindi natin alam paano natin i-drawing yung ating negative correlation. Di ba, pag ganun natin din drawing yung ating trend line. So kung gusto nating accurately ma-drawing yung trend line, pwede din natin gamitin itong formula na to sa pagko-compute ng regression line. So, ito ang formula natin para sa regression line. So, y is equal to bx plus a. It is similar with the slope of the line, no? Sa slope, di ba, na y is equal to mx plus b, yung m, siya si slope. Pero sa regression line, yung b, siya yung slope, no? Yung a, yun yung y-intercept. No? So, very important itong value ng a at b. Same lang sila, iba lang yung representation, no? So, we need to find the slope b and the y-intercept, which is a naman, no? Using the regression line equation. So, yan. Tingnan niyo yung standard form natin. Ganito itsura. Pag in-slope intercept natin, ganito yung itsura niya. Pag point slope, ganito naman. No? Pero hindi yan yung focus natin. Ito yung gagamitin natin. Yung is equal to mx plus b. Pero sa regression line, y is equal to bx plus a na siya. No? So, wag kayong ma-confuse. So, identify the dependent and independent variable in the following situation. Okay. Which do you think is x and which is y? Yes, Annabella?
Yung X po is yung IQ and yung Y po is yung grades.
Okay. So this is, sorry. Saan na ba yung pen ko? This is X and then this is Y. No? Nakadepende yung grade natin sa IQ. Let's have the second one. The number of appliances and electricity bill. Raise your hand if you want to answer. Yes, Jasmine, Clarice.
Yung X po, yung number of appliances, tas yung Y po, yung electricity bill.
Okay, correct. Very good. Let's have the next one. Price of a good and demand. Okay, anyone? Okay, Tian.
Yung price of good po is Y and yung demand po is X.
Okay, very good. Temperature and ice cream sale. O, kakasabi ko lang dito kanina. Jasper, Neil?
Yung X po yung temperature and Y po yung ice cream sales.
Very good. Madali lang siya, di ba? So, it's very obvious. Pero tignan niyo yung formula ng regression line equation. Nakakaiyak, di ba? Yung formula. So, to get y, the y-intercept A, that is the summation of y times the summation of x squared minus the summation of x times the summation of x times y. All over n, the summation of x squared minus the square of the summation of x. So, madali lang yung formula para sa y-intercept natin. Ito yun, no? Ito yun. A. Then, para naman makuha natin yung slope na B, we use the formula n times the summation of x times y minus the summation of x times the summation of y all over n, the summation of x squared minus the square of the summation of x. So, yun naman yung formula natin para sa slope. Okay? Na-screenshot nyo ba yung formula? Yan. I-solve natin yung A at B and write the regression line equation which represents the line given by varied data. And then predict natin yung weight ng child kapag 19 years old na siya. Okay, una, we create a table. Alam na natin ito, paano nakakreate yung table na to. Kamukha lang siya ng correlation. Next. No? Step number 2, isa-substitute na lang natin ng diretso for the y-intercept. Summation of y is 256. Summation of x squared is 111. Summation of x is 81. Summation of x times y is 3498 times 6. Summation of x squared minus the summation of 81. So, ang nakuha nating y-intercept ay 10.27. So, round it off to 2 decimal places. In here naman sa slope, we have 6,3498 minus 81 times 256 over 6, 1111 minus 81 squared. So the answer becomes 252 over 105, so that is 2.4. Writing it now as y is equal to bx plus a, no? Magiging ganito yung ating regression line equation. Now, it's y is equal to 2.4x plus 10.74. Pag nilagay natin yan sa sa Desmos, no, mabubuo yung ating regression line, no. Ngayon ang tanong, dahil predictability ang binibigay ng regression line, gagamitin nyo ngayon si regression equation, ito, when you wanted to know the age of the child when he or she is 19 years old. So papalitan nyo yung x ng 19, no? So x is 19, so y is equal to 2.4 times 19 plus 10.27. So ang predictability variable nyo nun, mape-predict natin na kapag ang bata ay 19 years old na, ano na yung timbang niya? 55.87 kilo. So thus, the predicted weight of the 19-year-old child is 55.87. Ngayon, bigyan ko kayo ng task. What if 21 years old na si bata? Kahit na hindi na siya bata, matanda na yan. What is the weight of a 21-year-old child as predicted using the regression line equation? So what you're going to do is to use your calculator, use the regression statistics, no? Equation. 10.20. Who can give me the answer? Angel.
60.67 kilograms.
Okay, so nakita nyo yung gamit ng regression equation, no? Nalalaman na natin, nape-predict na natin kung ano yung possible na edad. So kung businessman ka, kapag tumataas yung temperature, nakita mong tumataas din yung using an equation, malalaman mo yung possible ice cream sale mo, di ba? So that's the importance of the regression statistics. Let's have this one. The table on the right shows the playing time of different students and their corresponding grade. So write the regression line equation which represents the given data. And then i-estimate natin yung grade ng student kung 9 hours siya per week naglalaro ng games, no? Ano napansin nyo sa hours spent dun sa may grade nila? What do you notice? Anong klaseng relationship yung napapansin ninyo? Although hindi pa natin kinocompute yung R. Mert.
Habang tumataas po yung hours spent in playing games po, bumababa po yung grades nila.
So, anong klaseng correlation ang meron sila?
Negative correlation po.
Tama, no? May negative correlation tayo. So, gusto nating malaman yung regression line natin para ma-predict natin kung ano na yung magiging grade ng bata kapag naglaro siya ng 9 hours, no? So, that's the power of predictability, no? Statistics. So, gagawin lang dyan, you're going to create a table ng bawat estudyante na kinuhanan ninyo ng hours spent, no? Ng paglalaro nila. Halimbawa, si Bugoy ay 5 hours, Pepay 6, and pinaka-addict maglaro si Kanor, no? 8 hours, no? And so on. Eh, what more kung maging addicted pa siya lalo, more than 8 hours, no? Tapos yan yung mga grades nila, no? Si Kanor ang may pinakamababang grade, 77. Anong ginawa ni Mang Kanor, no? So we have the third column, we have x squared, no? That's y squared, xy. Do I need to elaborate this one? Hindi na, no? Alam nyo naman kung paano nagagawin yan, no? Gamitin natin yung ating formulas in solving A and B. It's just a substitution, no? So, the answer becomes (96.48), no? Yung ating y-intercept. At yung slope naman natin na B, ano napansin nyo sa slope? Is it a positive slope or negative slope? Yes, Charles.
Negative po.
Kaya nga, di ba, ba't kaya pag ganun yung slope? Ibig sabihin, yung regression line nyo yan ay papunta sa left, no? Ganun yan yung magiging itsura niya, no? Kasi nga, mayroon tayong negative na slope. Tandaan, if the slope is negative, then it is a negative correlation. So tignan ninyo ha, ito yung kanyang scatter plot diagram, and you see the regression line. The regression line is y is equal to negative 2.32 plus 96.48. So kung 9 hours naglaro yung bata, no, substituting the values, ano ang magiging possible grade niya? Tignan ninyo, halos pabagsak na. So ibig sabihin, kung 10 hours siyang naglaro, ano kaya yung grade niya? When x is 10, tignan nga natin kung babagsak na ba siya. You simply substitute it using the regression line equation natin. Negative 2.33 times 10 plus 96.48. Yes, Angelica, what is the answer?
73.28 po.
Bagsak ba yon sa K-12? Pag 73? Oh. So, kailangan mo lang palang, ano yun? 73 point?
28 po.
Kailangan mo lang palang maglaro ng 10 hours per week, no? Para maibagsak mo yung subject. Madali lang palang bumagsak, no? So, yun yung talaga, no? So, in studies, these could be your interest in your study. So kapag interested kayo dun sa predictability ng study ninyo, pwede ninyong gamitin yung regression analysis in your research. No? So siguro meron na kayong mga topics in mind para sa inyong quantitative research. So maybe you can look into the predictability of your dependent and your independent variable. Kung nape-predict ba ng video game, yung number of hours playing the video game, yung grade ng isang estudyante, no? So this is very interesting, no? We found out na kapag siya ng 9 hours, no? 75.6, no, yung magiging possible grade ng bata. So ang galing ng regression, di ba? Nape-predict niya kung ano yung future. Okay. Actually, done na tayo sa ating discussion ng regression analysis, no? So kung ipakita sa inyo yung isang video na lang regarding a study about predictability, no? Wait lang. Para may idea kayo kung give me share ko muna ulit. Share sound. Check natin itong video na to. Ayaw yata.
This is Warren. He's living with HIV. In the beginning, he took a lot of pills. Then we did something important. We listened and created treatments that reduced the number of meds he had to take. Because our greatest ideas are inspired by people just like Warren.
When I was 27 years old, I left a very demanding job in management consulting for a job that was even more demanding, teaching. I went to teach 7th graders math in the New York City public schools. And like any teacher, I made quizzes and tests, I gave out homework assignments. When the work came back, I calculated grades. What struck me was that IQ was not the only difference between my best and my worst students. Some of my strongest performers did not have stratospheric IQ scores. Some of my smartest kids weren't doing so well. And that got me thinking. The kinds of things you need to learn in 7th grade math, sure, they're hard. Ratios, decimals, the area of a parallelogram. But these concepts are not impossible. And I was firmly convinced that every one of my students could learn the material if they worked hard and long enough. After several more years of teaching, I came to the conclusion that what we need in education is a much better understanding of students and learning from a motivational perspective, from a psychological perspective. In education, the one thing we know how to measure best is IQ. But what if doing well in school and in life depends on much more than your ability to learn quickly and easily? So I left the classroom and I went to graduate school to become a psychologist. I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in competition. We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies, asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started
Dali lang. Nasa kalagitnaan pa naman na tayo. May naririnig ba kayo? Wala, no?
Wala po.
Nawalan siya ng audio. Wait lang. Pero kanina, nakapag-ano siya. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Ang hina ng internet.
competition.
Naririnig na ba?
We studied rookie teachers working in really tough neighborhoods, asking which teachers are still going to be
here in teaching by the end of the school year. And of those, who will be the most effective at improving learning outcomes for their students? We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic I could measure, things like family income, standardized achievement test scores, even how safe kids felt when they were at school. So it's not just at West Point or the National Spelling Bee that grit matters, it's also in school, especially for kids at risk for dropping out. To me, the most shocking thing about grit is how little we know, how little science knows about building it. Every day, parents and teachers ask me, how do I build grit in kids? What do I do to teach kids a solid work ethic? How do I keep them motivated for the long run? The honest answer is, I don't know. What I do know is that talent doesn't make you gritty. Our data show very clearly that there are many talented individuals who simply do not follow through on their commitments. In fact, in our data, grit is usually unrelated or even inversely related to measures of talent. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. Dr. Dweck has shown that when kids read and learn about the brain and how it changes and grows in response to challenge, they're much more likely to persevere when they fail because they don't believe that failure is a permanent condition. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be gritty about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Do you need to hug someone?
So yan. So based dun sa may napanood ninyo, meron ba kayo nakitang mga predictor variable? Ano yung pinaka-main variable na pinag-usapan? Any idea? Yes, Annabelle.
Based po nung nag-research sila, napatunayan po nila na yung grit po yung main predictor ng success po.
Oo, tama. So, madali lang palang maging successful, no? Hindi naman pala yung IQ mo. It's not about your talent, no? It's about how you persevere on your long-term goals in life, no? So, it doesn't mean na nag-graduate ka with highest honor is ikaw yung magiging successful sa graduating class ninyo. Sometimes those average people have high grit level kaya nagiging successful sila. It doesn't mean that you are talented. Does it mean na dali lang, okay. So tulad ng sabi ko kanina, it doesn't mean na talented ka is ikaw na yung magiging successful because talent does not predict success. Pero there's only one variable that could predict success in life. At according to Angela Duckworth, it is grit. No? So maybe sa inyong mga future researches, pwede ninyong pag-aralan yan kasi mayaman sa literature ang grit level. Marami kayong pwedeng i-relate sa grit level. No? Tulad nung binanggit niya kanina, yung mindset daw natin. Diba? Parati binabanggit yan sa social media, yung mindset ba? Mindset? Meron ba tayong growth mindset na na pag naka-experience tayo ng failure, it doesn't mean that you really failed, no? But you still persevered, no? From that failure. And those is where these successful people come from, no? So, regression analysis, for sure, yung ginamit na statistical tool ni Angela Duckworth to test the predictability of the variable, no? So, yan. So, I just gave you an idea of ano yung mga possible na variables na pwede ninyong explore when you wanted to use predictability. So once na meron kayo gustong i-predict na variable na nakaka-apekto dun sa isa pang variable, aside from applying correlation analysis in which you describe their relationship, you can also describe the predictability of the independent variable with respect to the dependent variable. So I hope you learned something for today, and I'm really glad that you are here on our last session. So I will miss you all guys, and hopefully lahat ng mga tinuro ko sa inyo sa stat, all of them will be applied on your future endeavors, especially on your practical research too. So I'll be leaving all the exercises, the written works to Ma'am Bugayong. On Friday, I'll be giving your remaining written works na sabay-sabay na lang ninyo silang answeran on Friday, and then ipasa lahat yun sa may Monday at para maibigay ko na kay Ma'am Bugayong na may substitute teacher. Okay, so good luck and God bless sa inyo mga anak. Bye.
Thank you po.
Good day po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Good day po, sir.
Bye po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po,